1 out of 5 young Europeans actively looking for work can't find a job. 15 to 25-year-olds in Eurozone states, Portugal, Spain, Italy and Greece are facing higher than 35% unemployment. Out of the 27 EU states, only 4 have an employment rate below 15%. Austria, the Netherlands, Denmark and Germany. Young people are urged to change countries for work. The unemployment rate in Berlin in January 2012 was 11% for Germans and 25% for foreigners. According to the German Chamber of Commerce, from 2008, 1,300 startups have been established in Berlin, almost 500 only in 2012. In just a few years, the German capital has become a magnet for creatives and people working in the media. Berlin's proportion of so-called founders is higher than anywhere else in the country. In Berlin, the percentage of highly qualified people with advanced academic degrees has risen faster than anywhere else in Germany in the last 3 years. This is what drives German startups and makes international investors confident. The percentage of interns in a startup is around 20%. The salary goes from 250 to 550 euros per month. The intern's age goes from 22 to 29, and they're hired to work in marketing, PR, graphic design and software development. Only 1 out of 4 gets a full-time position after the internship. 80% of interns report working from 7 to 30 hours overtime, unpaid. Millions are working for nothing. But Berlin keeps attracting more and more ambitious young people hungry for success, with continuous emergence of startup dreams and clever ideas to make the world a better place.
It's a bit a myth which is self-constructing itself right now, because when I came here in '99 there were a lot of very alternative cultures. People came here who actually wanted to live another way of life. They were looking for something else. They didn't want to have their normal 9 to 5 job, etc. And but with this came actually also a lot of people who were rather lazy or who were just, I don't know, taking too much drugs and not getting things done or things like that. So it was a nice culture, but like also what sometimes definitely really made me desperate is that you had people sitting in the cafes or in the cafes or in restaurants and kind of like talking about all the projects and basically not getting done anything. But I think like that these kind of culture slowly started attracting people who like the environment. Berlin again is like also super cheap, still it's cheap compared to other cities, so you can kind of like afford a living and still afford also doing other things, so there's a lot of free spaces still in the city. And I think this attracts now people who like really get things going, and then it's kind of like a myth with so people come here because they think that the city does has something, and then basically they come here and then they just build it themselves without, perhaps even without noticing it.
Over the last 2 years, 500 startups have all of a sudden blossomed into the city, and along with it comes money from abroad. So all these international investors are coming in, which pulls more money into these startups and allows them to attract international talent from all over the world.
It has lots to offer, I think. It has a rich kind of culture to it. Obviously, it's maybe the culture center in Europe in a way. It has a rich music scene, regardless of what kind of music you're into, but maybe especially when it comes to electronic music and so on, it's really, really good. The art scene is fantastic. The weather's not bad, and when it comes to technology, it's really kind of a hub for technology as well. There's a strong legacy of kind of hackers and innovation in Berlin. So all of these things kind of together makes it into a great place to live.
It's a good ground to be here right now. You get very attractive from the outside. So everybody right now is looking to Berlin and saying, "Oh, this is cool, this is great." So it's you already get a bonus only by saying you are a startup from Berlin. Everybody goes like, "Oh, really interesting." It doesn't even matter what you're doing. So that's okay. It's fine. Everything that sells, it's great.
Here in Berlin, the startup scene is really huge, and there are different events that It's crazy.
There's a vibrant kind of community of companies that are collaborating on similar problems. Like bureaucracy is one of them, for example, where, you know, if we would be totally alone, I think it would be a much harder problem to solve than now when, you know, a lot of people have done similar things before, or we can ask for help.
What really does the city so good is that it's so international.
What a collaboration between developers, designers, creatives, artists, idea generators. We're absolutely outside the technology industry of the startup world, and biz dev people and marketing people. When you bring all these together, what comes out of it? Once you do it and you see all this creative energy floating around and all these people just building stuff from scratch and meeting and becoming friends and eventually even forming a deeper relationship, it's really exciting, and you feed off this energy.
The startups that really get good funding are the ones that have great design. They have a lot of great traction. Initially, they have to have good technology, right? It has to be a rock solid product. And then of course you start to build up the marketing, and then if you start getting hundreds of thousands of downloads, investors start to look at your product seriously because you have traction in the market. You have something interesting that stands out from the rest of all the products. So if you reach a certain stage and you have the numbers, you have great marketing and branding, great design, and you're good at networking with all these venture capitalists, eventually you will land funding. Some very young early stage startups also can attract funding. If they have a great idea, sometimes an angel investor will just give them 100,000 euro without any numbers. If they just love the idea and they believe in it and it's passionate and they have a great team, that's also important. They'll look at the profiles of all these entrepreneurs and say, okay, did they have good studies? Did they have some experience with developing other products for a different company? They'll really look at the core team, and then they'll decide and give money.
The main issue for all of us maybe is how to stay at the cutting edge of new experiences, of innovation, and maybe the second issue is can we do it alone, or do we start to build with developers and we start to build a strong and talented ecosystem?
One of the requirements for a startup to be successful is to have dedicated people on board.
Companies are interested in getting hackers for the company or getting hackers to know their product, depends. So that's the angle, like there's a match.
I'm still in school and I've had one internship, so I guess I've seen some end of the professional world. It wasn't very, software based or creative based. It was just A, B, C, D, E, get all these things done, knock them out, send them to headquarters and see what they say and get all this work done. And when I saw Franz and Vika working today, they were just, two different guys with two different approaches to the same goal, and they were just on the same page. It was really cool to see, the programmer said, hey, I really need this image. And they say, oh, I already have it and I've already uploaded it. It's done and it was awesome and it looked great.
I would like to figure out how mobile apps are being built, so I can later on maybe implement that in the field of research, in a different field, like in social science. And furthermore, it's just a great opportunity to meet cool people and to build a great product.
The CEO and the head of marketing are the persons who are visible outside. But without the core engineers and the designers and everyone who put their years into and do overtime shifts over and over to get it done until a certain milestone, if you just treat them wrong, they will leave and your product will die. It's just that easy. So a great team and good attitude towards the team is I think it's one of the key reasons why this business is successful.
So each member can profit from another member, and they can exchange some knowledge, and there's like magic happening.
If you can achieve such things, this is great. If people are really happy with their job. Although this is tiring, I mean, it's still a job, it's not fun, but if you think that's something worth doing, so then it's half the stress. And you can learn from everyone. Being first is not always the case. It's doing right what counts. So, and doing it right means you have the right feedback and you have the right team. Instead of having a workforce. So it's not a factory. It's a real team of handymen. Yeah.
I love to do different kind of stuff. Last year I took the choice of freedom and made a book about infrared photography. This is some other topic I'm really interested in, and so yeah, I like all aspects of design. So if I put to everyday interface design, I think I would go crazy somedays.
It's not that difficult really. If you treat them as equals, it's really easy. But for them, for some of them, this is a problem, treating them as equals and not like minions. I mean, there's still a gap between the business side and the development side, because the business side often treats everything as numbers, and you have to reach some goals and everything. And on the other hand, development, although you can count some things like lines of code or bugs which are fixed or something like this, it's still very creative.
Finished now. I hope that the developer can implement my graphics into the web page.